Welcome to Indiana in December. It's 43 degrees and we've got a light mist going on here. Looks like it's probably full-blown rain headed my way, and I thought I could get in a ride today, but looks like those plans are going to be squashed. So I guess maybe before I actually get home, I could tell a little story about an accident that happened to me about a year ago, in hopes that maybe someone else will avoid a similar situation by hearing my story. So here's what happened. I was going to work, 6:30 in the morning, something like that. It was dark, and there's an intersection down the street from my house, about 5 minutes, that I have been through said intersection a million times over. And this particular morning, I was heading in, and there's a car in front of me, and I'm doing about 20-25 miles an hour. We're cruising up to this intersection, and the lights are all green. So there's a left arrow that's green, and then there's two solid greens. And it was like that for, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds at least, if not more, as we're approaching the intersection. And as we get right up into the intersection, he goes to turn left, so he breaks off left, and I go straight. And as I get into the intersection, just literally within the blink of an eye, this car pulls out. She was on the other side of the intersection that I didn't see because the car in front of me was blocking my view. She didn't see me because the car in front of me was blocking her view of me. So she turns left because some genius put in this new intersection light that I didn't know they had put in, and it was just a regular intersection light, and then they put in one of these left turn on a yellow caution, and obviously she didn't yield. It was totally her fault. But again, I guess, just pointing out the fact that things like that you don't expect. I mean, you go every day the same way to work, and I've been through it a million times. And just a weird set of circumstances that they changed the intersection light, and it was dark, and the car in front of me was blocking both of our views. And so typically most riders, you already know to look ahead and scan for people that are going to pull out in front of you. And, most people who ride know the basics of, what to watch for to be careful. But in my case, and not to say that I'm, some superstar rider, but I have been riding for a good many years. And that was the first accident that I was in. And it was pretty substantial. I mean, I hit her car, she pulled in front of me, and I hit her passenger door about 25 miles an hour and flipped over the car, landed on my back in the intersection, shattered my wrist in 8 places, and I kid you not, ruptured a testicle. So, you look at these bikes, the way the tanks are and the way you sit on them, you hit a stationary object at 25 miles an hour, no good shit is going to happen to your balls, I can tell you that. But, yeah, so, and then the bad thing about, another bad thing about the whole incident was the fact that when I went into the hospital, they knew my wrist was shattered. They gave me a full body MRI and sent me home the next day after they reset my hand in place and said, you're going to need, to have surgery to fix your wrist right. But they didn't catch the ruptured testicle. So I went home and walked around for 4 days with a ruptured testicle. And yeah, so after walking around for 4 days with a ruptured testicle, in agonizing pain, and I was on all kinds of good drugs just from my wrist. So, I was definitely doped up on some serious shit. And you know, getting in and out of bed was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. So yeah, so I went in 4 days afterwards and went back, and then they did an ultrasound or something, and oh yeah, you got a ruptured testicle, and then, you know, they sewed it up, and that's all good and fine. But yeah, that's not something that anybody wants to experience, I can assure you. So we're coming up on the intersection that I was in my accident, and just to show you what this light situation is, which again, before my accident, it used to just be a regular intersection. It was just, you know, green and red, and there was no left turn on any circumstance. So here again, you know, I'm coming up, there's a car in front of me, and he goes left here. All of our lights were green, but the person on the other side, they saw a yellow flashing arrow. And basically, I think the problem that I have with these lights, for one thing, in this particular area, is fucking ridiculous. I mean, there is not enough traffic that comes through here to justify some douchebag putting in a light like that. You know, if you got a really bad congestion situation with traffic, you know, I guess I see the point, but in that intersection, that's just fucking stupid. So I hope, you know, somebody sees this and gets some value from it. Maybe somebody else will avoid a similar situation. Again, I've been riding for a number of years, and always considered myself to be pretty cautious, but, you know, sometimes just circumstances come up that you're just not expecting at all. And so I'm still learning this whole motovlog process, and trying to figure out editing and, you know, how to make these things maybe a little more entertaining. But you know, for now, I'm just kind of learning. Don't pull out in front of me. So thanks to anybody, I guess, who watches and likes and subscribes, or just watches, or just likes, or